Welcome to For the Record, a podcast from the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus, hosted by Senator Brian Pettyjohn, Chief of Staff Deanna Killen, and Communications Director Matt Revel. This is For the Record.
On that.
Actually, we just cut right into it now, don't we?
Yeah,
Man, we cut right into it. And we're cutting right into it just on the heels of Governor Meyer's State of the State.
Yeah, it's his second State of the State address. Yeah.
Nowhere near as divisive as last year.
No.
So that was welcome.
It was very pleasant to see. I mean, there were a bunch of call-outs to members of the Republican Party about initiatives that are going on that they're spearheading. So
As there should be.
There should be, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Democrats don't have every answer. Republicans don't have every answer. I mean, we've all got to work together. And, when Republicans do good things.
Republicans do a lot of good things.
I have all the answers now, whether or not the party.
Anyway,
Anyway,
snap back to reality here. Okay. No, it's good to see credit given where it's due, and I think he did a good job with it. I think he did a much better job than the first one. It was definitely less partisan. Yes. More let's come together and work to fix some things. And those are things that we really need to hear, and now we need to have that executed.
Right. I mean, again, it's nice to hear it, but I still see videos on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
Talking about Republicans just in general. But like I said, I will give him credit. Today's speech, I felt like it was definitely a lot better than last year.
Right. I agree.
So want to start with some of the positives, and then we can go into some of the things that maybe we didn't agree about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can agree that we are happy to hear the budget growth is under 5%. That's something we always push for.
That's phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, $65 million in efficiencies and cost savings. I don't think he really went into detail a lot about what those are. And I guess maybe we'll hear some more of that
next week.
The budget hearing or the budget presentation next week. So that's good. Fiscal restraint, government efficiency, that's in our wheelhouse. We will always support that.
Yes.
Of course, he talked about the corporate franchise and how things gave a good report on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's good to hear.
We have had growth in that. But the big question is, what type of companies are they? And I don't think that's where they have that idea until they get their reporting in at the end of the first quarter. If they're, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 companies, are they going to be paying the minimum amount of tax, or are they going to be paying that $250,000 a year, which is the maximum? So
yeah, and I know when we met with the governor yesterday, one of his staffers did say that there were a lot of tier 1 and 2 companies. So that's good to hear. So hopefully Senate Bill 21 did its job.
Between Senate Bill 21 and the decision from the Supreme Court, I think that, calmed the waters and then blew the storm out to sea, so to speak.
Right. So that's good to hear. Did a lot of talk about small business, about cutting some red tape, getting permitting moving along, which is so needed here in Delaware. We haven't really seen that come to fruition yet. But it sounds like it's in the works.
Seems like it's been touted for years. Ready in 6?
Yes.
Yeah, and the question was, ready in 6 months?
6 months or 6 years?
I think
right.
6 years. Closer to 6 years at this point. Yeah, because we've heard a lot of people recently call in, a lot of businesses, like 2 years. We're still waiting for permits. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember when I was on the Board of Adjustments for town of Millsboro, there was one person in particular that came and he had been waiting for a permit for something like 14 months.
Yeah. Wow.
And a year after I left, I started when I started working here and stuff. Anyway, I ran into him actually in the grocery store. He said nothing yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not surprised by that at all.
No. Nope.
So I'm hoping that he can make some changes in this department. He really seems to be motivated in that direction, and some of his staffers that we've worked with and talked with, they seem to be very, just from what my conversations with them, they seem to be pro-business and wanting to make changes. So let's hope that happens.
Yeah, and I hope so, because we need that. I mean, time is money for businesses, and that's what a lot of the folks that are holding up these permits don't understand. The longer they wait, they may have a contract, or they may have already purchased property, and they're paying a mortgage on property while they're waiting for the approvals to go so that they can start recouping that. And at some point the business is going to go, it's not worth it, and I'm going to abandon the project.
Yep.
And we've got to get an environment where, permitting happens. Permitting still has to happen the right way, making sure everything's done. But these unnecessary delays in the whole process is killing business growth in Delaware. And you need business growth. We need to have more, businesses, manufacturers, whatever, to help grow the economy here. Otherwise, I would love for the largest employer in the state of Delaware to not be the state of Delaware.
Exactly. There was a very strong opening and support for law enforcement, which was great to see.
It was.
That was very encouraging. They honored Ty Snook, his wife, received what honor did
the Order of the First State.
The Order of the First State, which is the highest honor you can receive. I thought that was really, really cool to see.
And his parents were there
Yes.
on the floor.
I think I saw his sister as well.
Yes, his sister was up in the gallery.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's
as well as his brother.
Okay. Okay. And I think that's a lot of the positives that I had written down. Oh, he also had mentioned the Hope Center, bringing a Hope Center to Kent and Sussex County, which is great. I know he's been working with Senator Buxton on that.
Nuclear.
Yes, nuclear was great to see.
Yes.
He really pushed that. He did mention offshore wind as well, which, I don't necessarily have a huge issue with that as long as we are expanding our portfolio and including other things. It can't just be wind and solar.
No.
We've got to expand our portfolio if we're going to actually bring prices down.
Yeah, especially with nuclear, though. I mean, he talked about we need to fasten the pace up as well.
Yes.
And I don't know if he was necessarily alluding to the task force that's currently working, that Senator Richardson spearheaded and forming, but
and just so people know, like, that was not an easy task.
Oh no!
Like, we as Republicans had to work really hard to get that moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I just want to make the public aware of that. That was Republicans.
It's very encouraging that he and his administration, and it was mentioned throughout as the updated climate action report, that nuclear is definitely a form of energy that he's very interested in seeing come into the state, and especially with small modular reactors becoming more and more realistic.
Right.
Why can't Delaware be a leader in that
space? Exactly. And one of the things they're talking about data centers coming, and that's kind of what they're doing around the country is they're looking at having a small nuclear reactor that actually powers these data centers. So that's a good approach. But again, this is years in the future, so if we need to get moving on it now. And he has someone that he appointed, Governor Meyer appointed to the task force, who is very vocal every meeting about we're moving too slow, we need to get this done. Yeah. So I almost feel like maybe he's speaking on behalf of the governor, because the governor, that he did mention that today, we need to get moving. And, this can't be at the pace the state and government operates. This needs to be at the pace that the private sector operates.
And look, he did mention nuclear, he mentioned wind, but we still have to look at other sources of power generation as well.
Absolutely.
And, we've got the idled nuclear or the idled coal plant there at Indian River, 3 miles away from a major natural gas pipeline. We could bring gas generation, that high efficiency gas generation, to the Indian River plant in a fraction of the time that nuclear or wind, for that matter, the build out of the wind farm could take. I mean, we're talking a few years to have gas turbines brought in there and turned up and producing electricity versus, a decade for, the full build out of the wind, and then, 15 plus years for nuclear. So, we have options that are available to us now. It's just getting... One, it's going to be convincing those private companies like an NRG that Delaware is serious, and they're not going to throw up hurdle upon hurdle. Again, time is money,
right?
For them to be able to generate that. But also we've just got to get off this. The only solution out there is wind and solar, because it's not. We can't depend on that.
It's just not practical.
No,
it can't meet the demands. And I think it was kind of funny that he was talking about DP&L and how we, no more, and telling the Public Service Commission that they don't want them to increase the rates anymore. I'm like, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, because I know I didn't before I started working here, that DP&L is the only electric company that is regulated by the state.
Yeah.
So the state puts all of these mandates on them, all these green energy demands on them, RGGI, the regional greenhouse gas, in order to meet all those demands, there's things that they have to do.
Right.
So to me, it's like, I kind of wish DP&L would kind of speak up and be like, okay, if you don't want us to do this, then let's pull back on regulations. There's things that we can do that we don't need to continually come asking for rate hikes.
Right.
So is some of it DP&L? I'm sure that it is, but I think that the responsibility needs to be shared.
Well, part of what is in the delivery portion, actually, I think it's a separate line item on the DP&L bills, was the cost to upgrade the transmission lines coming into Delaware because of the shutdown of the Indian River plant. So they had to build out the lines.
Yeah. We're buying our energy from
out of state.
Out of state because we can't produce it here because, like you said, they don't want to come here.
Right.
Senator Hawker. It hasn't been released yet, but we're hoping to get it released today, maybe tomorrow. His Senate Bill 64.
Breaking news is this.
Yeah. We've talked about Senate Bill 64 before, but this is a Senate substitute. So what this is going to do, it changes how Delaware uses money collected from RGGI, which is the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. A lot of the Northeast states are into this. As a matter of fact,
Pennsylvania.
Is it Virginia? Who
Pennsylvania
just signed back up?
I don't know. Pennsylvania just dropped out.
I know they did, but
so it's probably Virginia.
I think it's New Jersey. But someone can check me on that.
Okay.
I think that their newly elected Democrat governor just
signed back in.
Yeah. But basically, what his bill does is it adds a new rule that starting in 2027, any RGGI revenue that exceeds what Delaware collects in 2025 will be used to go directly back to the customers. It will not go back in the form of a rebate. It's just going to be lower electric bills in general. Because if you look at your electric bill right now, there's not a line that says RGGI. It just is automatically baked in to the bill. So really, we don't know how much it is. We're told it's not much, but, I don't know. We don't know. So the excuse we've heard in the past is, well, we can't do away with RGGI because, the money that comes into the state funds programs. And it does fund some good programs, some low-income programs, some things, I guess, like to put more efficient windows in your house. Yeah. But what Senator Hawker's bill does is it's still going to keep money in that fund. It's just anything that would exceed that would be sent back to the ratepayers. So hopefully this bill will get some serious consideration. That's hopeful thinking, wishful thinking. I'm sure it probably will not make it out of committee. But if we want something that we can do that will make a difference in electric rates now, and our electric bills now, this is something that we can do. So people need to call their legislators and ask them to support this bill. It's basically, like you've said, it's just RGGI is a cap and trade. And, it makes it tough for businesses to operate here in Delaware.
And again, when we're looking at maybe a natural gas plant, that's fossil fuel, so they're going to be subject to RGGI. But it's interesting that the one thing that's not subject to RGGI, because they considered it, by law, we considered it a renewable resource for natural gas, only if it's used in a bloom box.
Yeah.
Oh, weird, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're still paying for that.
Yeah.
We'll be paying for that for the next, another 10 years or so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is an actual line item on your Delmarva Power bill,
I think
right?
it is.
Qualified fuel cells or something?
Yes.
Fuel cells.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Not on my bill because I got co-op.
That's me too.
Yeah, great guys. Yeah,
Delaware,
that's on mine. Yeah.
Delaware Electric Cooperative was actually in the building today because it was kind of like their legislative day, and that's what I was telling is he CEO, Rob Book? Is that his title? And that's what I was telling him. I'm like, if I were to ever go shopping for a home today or house hunting, that's the first question I ask.
Yeah.
Is it in the Delaware Electric? Because I will. My bill is great. It's rates. I don't know. They've maintained very.
It's a member-owned utility, so
I've never had a crazy
credits.
Yeah, never had a crazy high electric bill, and so it's great. The other thing that I will mention is I don't think the governor has once given credit to the administration for this rural health care money that is coming into the state. And I mean, of course, he always criticizes them. And hey, I have some criticism I could give too. I don't always support everything that the administration does. But one thing I think if something good does come out of it, I think that you should at least give credit where credit's due. So this rural health care is a federal grant that was awarded to Delaware, $157 million this year.
And he said in a state it's the largest competitive grant that Delaware's ever got.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
just so people are aware, the governor reached out to our members and asked us to sign on to the letter, to support the grant. And we did. I've asked twice to have the letter sent to me so I can see exactly who signed on to it, and it still hasn't been sent. So I don't know if any other members signed on or not. But Republicans in the Senate signed on, requested the administration, please give this, we support this grant, please give it to us. And we did. We got $157 million, and the governor says he's hoping to get the same amount over the next 5 years. It could be less, but I think it's no less than $500 million.
Wow.
And that's huge here for Delaware, and that's rural, so it would be Sussex and Kent counties.
What was the federal piece of legislation that made that possible?
It was a HR 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, big beautiful bills that how everyone knows it.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So historic investments is how it keeps being, advertised, but not once have I heard any credit given to where it's,
No.
where it's due.
No.
So that's great. And, we had, this is going to help a lot. Even like in Delaware, it's almost impossible to get a primary care doctor. And if you live in Sussex County, you know that. My doctor's a nurse practitioner. I can't find a primary care doctor unless I go to the concierge service, and I don't want to have to pay that. So I'm hoping that some of the things that come out of this will be something to beef up our primary care services here in Delaware. That's definitely needed.
I did just pull up the application for Delaware, and I've got all the signatures on here. I see who signed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to tell everyone? Or?
Sure. There's a lot of them.
Okay. So more than likely, most of the
It's
General Assembly signed
bipartisan.
on.
Yeah.
It's bipartisan.
So, Sokola,
Okay.
Minor Brown, Townsend, Hocker, Lockman, Pettyjohn, Harris, Dukes, Ozinski, Spiegelman, Pardee, Williams, Walsh, Heffernan. Yeah. So, it goes down. There's 2 solid pages of signatures.
Okay,
here.
great.
So
Well, it's good to know
looks,
that everyone signed on.
Yeah, it looks like many members, and I'm just looking real quick. Yeah, there's one. I'm not going to say, nope, not all members of the General Assembly signed on.
Okay.
So, but many did.
Okay.
I was looking for one in particular, and which I didn't think would sign it, and they didn't. So, yeah.
We won't mention any names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else with the state of the state that you want to talk about?
I did actually want to briefly mention the film tax credit.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, hey, that's a different idea. Never heard any, and this is not a knock against Governor Carney or anything, but I think this is the first time that I've heard any administration really mention it. Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to our friend TJ Healy.
I know, he has been pushing it for years.
Who has been working on this for years.
Yes.
So to finally see an administration acknowledge that, and certainly credit to TJ's hard work and diligence that he's been doing on this. I think it's a great idea. Yeah, honestly,
I agree with you. Delaware's a perfect place.
Oh yeah,
to film a movie.
Great,
especially if they're doing locations around DC.
Right.
We're just a quick jump, over to do that. I think
close to there. We're only about 4 hours away from New York City.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we got all the agriculture, the beach, the historic areas in Dover, the urban settings in Wilmington. Why aren't we attracting filmmakers?
Yeah,
I agree.
The last big production, I think, Huntress, that TV show from Paramount was done over at Cape and Lopin State Park a couple of years ago, but haven't really heard of anything else lately that's been filmed in Delaware.
Right.
But, we've got some good locations, and it does bring in the dollars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
I was happy to see that.
Yeah, because like you said, TJ's been working on that for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I think one other thing that he mentioned today that I want to address is he talked about congressional Republicans and blamed them basically for the rising rates. I guess because they didn't.
Redo the subsidies.
Ultimately, the ACA subsidies did pass because some Republicans did join and voted with them. And I would have been one to have voted for the subsidies because to me, Obamacare, ACA, it's completely broken. And that's the reason that rates are so high right now. Let's be real about that. And the fact that they try to put that on Republicans just blows my mind. Republicans told them for years that this was not going to work. And here we are.
But they had to pass the bill to see what was in it.
Right, exactly. Right. But to me, if you don't have a better plan to replace ACA, then you need to renew the subsidies until you have something in place. And I just that hurts families that can't afford to pay for their health insurance. So while I think health insurance companies are the ones benefiting from this, and I think it's sad, Delawareans are, having to pay very high rates, and it's sad right now with everything else going up. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out because the fact that they're trying to blame Republicans for increased health insurance rates is just, it's asinine.
The Democrats were the ones that wrote the bill.
Exactly.
Right.
And they also put the deadline for when the ACA subsidies would.
Correct.
Yeah. expire. So it's just crazy to me. And anyone who is in the loop and actually knows what's going on, they know it's not true. But unfortunately, we live right now in a society where nobody reads past the headline, and people, and they know that. So the press will make the headline as salacious as possible, and they know people will take that and run with it, and they're not going to do any research on their own.
Right.
But I'm old enough. I was here when Obamacare was being debated, and it was something needs to be done. So hey, at least they tried something. It's not working. Let's not try to fix something that's broken. Let's find something that's going to work for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and since that was established, healthcare costs have skyrocketed, many times over since that was put in place. So whenever you've got a program that is a forced program that's subsidized by the government, you're not going to have reductions in cost. You're going to have significant increases in cost because it's a very captive market at a point in time, and they can just go ahead and reap the rewards and reap the revenue from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We have to do something, and I don't know what that is. I mean, I wish I had the answers, but we've got to do something.
Yeah. Agreed.
I recently talked to a constituent, and I found this. I didn't know this, and I think I actually had talked to you about it. There is a couple who has a 22-year-old child who just graduated college. Because the child has graduated college, the health insurance they buy through the college is no longer available. So the parents tried to get the child on ACA. And because the child isn't working yet, they automatically are flagged for Medicaid because they don't have an income. So when they go to apply for ACA, it flags them and they're pushed to Medicaid. So, and it's because Delaware is a Medicaid expansion state. So you have probably a lot of able-bodied families who could pay for their children's health insurance.
And this is a family that could definitely
absolutely,
pay.
and this family wanted to,
Right.
and they had the means and they wanted to. So Medicaid expansion, we have a lot of people probably paying for health insurance for people who could be paying for their own, but because we're a Medicaid expansion state, it automatically flags it and is sent to that. So I thought that was interesting. All right. I don't think I have anything else on the state of the state unless you guys do.
No.
Nope, I think we touched on it.
Yeah. Positives and minuses.
Overall, better than last year.
Yes,
but
definitely. Definitely
still,
better.
Still, obviously, points of contention that
Right.
I'm sure that will be debated and fleshed out as the year goes on. So.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up was Senate Bill 78, which I talked about all last year. You probably heard too much about it. Senator Sturgeon's bill. It was the one that would make it illegal for public schools and charter schools in Delaware to discriminate based on a lot of personal characteristics, race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, all of which I disagree with. It was the gender identity that I had the issue with because that would have allowed biological boys to play in girls' sports and access their spaces. So she stood up on the floor this week and she struck the bill, which means basically the bill is dead now. I don't know why. I'm hopeful that maybe they just don't want to move forward with that policy, and I hope that it doesn't mean something worse is coming. But I will keep people posted on that, and I will have I will keep an eye on what happens next. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that move. We had
was it stricken the same week that Senator Richardson introduced his bill to fairness in girls' sports?
No, Senator, I think that was the week before he introduced that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, this was stricken on Tuesday. She struck it. Yeah.
I mean, I have my theories. It's an election year. There's probably a lot of people that don't want to vote on SB 78 and then it be brought up in an election. Could be some of it. I don't know. Who knows?
That, and I mean, you would have Senator Richardson's competing bill,
Right.
or that would just amplify that debate more so into the public sphere, and I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe
see.
they don't want to have that debate.
It could be as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see about that.
We just got the
Yeah, but
agenda for Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's good because today's agenda. Did you want to talk anything about today's agenda, or not really? We had two bills on today's agenda that were, and I'm sure if anyone follows Senator Hocker on social media, you saw his post. A lot of our members were not happy because these two bills, they were reassessment bills. One was Newcastle County only,
Specific,
and the other specific, correct, and the other one was a statewide, all three counties. But the problem was the bills were not pre-filed until Monday evening. Is it? Yeah, Monday evening late. Our members didn't get a chance really to review them until Tuesday.
Committee hearing Wednesday, floor today.
Actually, I'm sorry. It was actually Tuesday night that they were. Yes, it was the night before committee meeting that they were pre-filed late. So it was pre-filed late Tuesday night, in committee on Wednesday, and then on the floor for a vote today. And to make it worse, both the bills were substituted today at 11:15, and we voted on them at 12:30.
Right. Well, and one of the original bills that was sent out Tuesday had already been stricken,
right,
and replaced,
right,
with Senate Bill 230.
Right. So
there was like 3 or 4 changes to that bill, a few changes to the other bill, which was Senate Bill 228, or Senate Substitute 1 to Senate Bill 228, as it is in our system. So, I mean, the fact of the matter, I mean, that's what Senator Hocker alluded to in his statement, and certainly other members of our caucus, Senator Pettyjohn today on the floor and others, was, the stakeholders, especially the business community, had not seen the. So we were talking to a gentleman who represents a lot of that constituency, a lot of the business community, and he found out 45 minutes before
he found out from me,
right,
coming in to make me aware of the bills. Hey, I want to make you aware of these bills that were pre-filed last night. I said, yeah, they're in committee today. He's like, what?
So he's like
frantically texting the members that he represents to inform them.
That eliminates the ability for stakeholders, people that are really affected by these bills, to one, come here, because one of them was over in D.C., so they weren't able to make it over for testimony yesterday. It removes the public input, the stakeholder input that's so necessary in this deliberative process that we're supposed to have in this building. And you can't have a deliberative process. You can't deliberate and have conversations about the bills when they are being rushed through with such urgency. And we saw, amendment, substitute. We had an amendment on the floor today on one of them because, I pointed out that, when they were looking at the names of the finance officers, it had, the name, for Kent County, whatever the name is, finance director for Sussex County, and then it had another name of a position, but it didn't say for Newcastle County. So, there are just things in bills that, yes, things like that get missed, but if those bills had a chance to be baked a little bit more and have more input and go back and forth, probably wouldn't have, these amendments and substitutes when you're just rushing them through the process. And I have a feeling we're going to see more amendments over the House, and it's going to be sent back to the Senate again because there's still stakeholders, there's still problems that are being found with these bills.
Right. And we don't necessarily have issue with the bills themselves. No. Honestly, that's kind of what several of our senators said. They can't vote yes, they can't vote no, because they don't know if the bill is good or if the bill is bad. Yeah. So they went not voting. And it's, we always talk about process. And yesterday, one of the senators on the floor made the comment that her constituents are not concerned with process. And that's fine. They have that right. If her senators aren't or her constituents aren't concerned with it, fine. But I can assure you, our constituencies are extremely concerned with process because we hear about it all the time.
We do.
We hear about it on social media. We hear about it in emails, phone calls. They are very concerned.
Talk radio.
Yes, they are very concerned with it, and it's all about transparency. So if your constituents don't care, that's fine. Our constituents do, and as we represent the whole state. This is not just Newcastle County, and sometimes I feel that that's how things are done here. It's Newcastle County. We have the votes. We don't need you. Vote yes if you want. We don't really care. I don't know. It just, I wasn't happy with what I saw this week. I felt like there was a lot of arrogance, and we do matter. We represent a large group of people in the state of Delaware, and I just wish they remember that. I don't think any Democrat in this building, tell me if I'm wrong, has served in the minority. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh,
Carson.
That's a
probably.
Good one. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe Carson.
I mean, so they don't know what it's like. They have no idea what it's like. And I think that is exactly what they need. They need to serve in the minority for a few years and then understand what it's like. And
when was Trey first elected to the House?
No,
Center
he came
Party.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, same year as I did.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think maybe Carson, but I think he came in. Maybe not. I can't. That whole when Jim Vaughn, I think he came over to the Senate. Democrats might have been in the majority then. I'm not sure.
Because I think you govern differently. Because I know that if I would govern differently, I know some people have said, oh, well, if we ever got majority, I'd give it right back to them. But that's not how I feel. I feel like, okay, I've been in the minority. I understand what it's like. And we're not going to do the same thing to you. We're going to work with you. Not every single amendment that you give us is going to be unfriendly. We're going to consider what you have to say.
Right.
And we're going to listen and we're going to value what you say. Because people voted to put you here, and we respect that. And there needs to be more of that in this building.
Mm-hmm. No,
We don't like kings in our caucus. Is
No,
that what
we
you're
do
saying?
not.
That-
No,
we do not.
we don't like
Even though
legislators
that seems
acting
to be
like
the
that.
headline everywhere.
Wow,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And speaking of Newcastle
What's she
County,
over there laughing about? Yeah, Peyton is off camera there
Yes.
and just and laughing for some reason. I don't know why.
Because the No Kings line that was in one of the original statements was such a banger. And
that's the stick in the mud chief of staff made you take it out.
Ah, damn.
Sorry. Hey.
one of these days when I'm not here anymore, I'll say, here's the original statement.
Matt puts the statements together and sends to me, and I have to, like with a scalpel, take some of the stuff out. I know, but it's
like the end of a rap disc.
A bar or whatever.
maybe we need
We need to mic you up again.
another Facebook account that we can put all the Matt's originals that aren't edited by me.
Or we could print them out and post them.
No, it is too pretty to be posting papers back there.
Okay. All right.
So one thing I'll end with is, I don't know if you have even seen this yet, but HB 272 was filed by Rep. Heffernan. And what it does is it makes it a state crime in Delaware to use force, threats, or obstruction against people going to abortion clinics or churches. So it basically mirrors the FACE Act.
The FACE Act.
So this is clearly political. This is already illegal. Federal law already outlaws this. So this to me is completely a political bill because it's an election year. They want to force Republicans to vote on this, and they're going to link the whole abortion clinic to the church thing. And I just think
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
so there's no need for this bill. It's not necessary. It's already outlawed. This is me personally. I want to state this. I'm not speaking for any senator in my caucus. I'm speaking for me. I don't really agree with the whole protest at the abortion clinics. I think there's a better way to go about that. But I think we can all agree. None of us agree with threats and use of force. None of us agree with that. It's just these are the kind of bills that I do not like because it's not needed, and we know it's not needed. This is strictly a political move, and we have a lot more important things that we can be dealing with instead of trying to make political statements.
Here's line 7 and 8 is I think the key.
Increases penalties.
No. So it is unlawful to do any of the following. That's line 4. So it's line 7 and 8. By force or threat of force, or by physical, or by physical obstruction, intentionally injure, intimidate, or interfere with another person in order to discourage any person from obtaining or providing reproductive health services. Mm-hmm. So that discourage is key too, because there are a lot of people that say, they'll do things, let me pray for you, let me do this, let's talk to you about some options. That's discouraging. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'd have to really, I have to unpack that lines 7 and 8 to see what that's about. But that whole, discourage, it's, if you're in a free speech area, which is the public, you should be able to, have that speech. Mm-hmm. Now, crossing the line onto private property, that's off limits. And I completely agree with that. Right. Just like what happened over in Minneapolis with that group came in and stormed that church, which was... Mm-hmm. That could have been a very dangerous situation,
right?
Especially if there were armed folks in that church, and they saw a possible threat. So it could have been a very, very bad situation. But you shouldn't interfere with somebody doing what they want to do, or interfere with a church service. Going through and interrupting that. Right. It's people don't have a free speech right in a church on private property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see how this all pans out. It's new, so we've not had any debate on the bill yet. So maybe obviously your question could be answered through that.
Yeah.
But I think, my opinion, if this were to pass, I do not think for 1 second this will be evenly applied.
Absolutely
we know
not.
Which one of these groups will be targeted,
mm-hmm.
and that I'll just leave it at that.
You don't think the current makeup of the Attorney General's office would evenly apply that law?
I do not.
Oh,
I do not.
I think there was a right for private action here too. Yeah, there's a right to private action for civil action.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So not just
And
criminal.
that may be new. That the FACE Act may not include that.
I don't
so
think
that may
FACE
be
has
something
a
that may
civil
be something
component to
new.
it.
Yeah. So all kinds of great stuff happening.
Really, 2 weeks in.
Yeah, 2 weeks in, it's great.
Like I said, it has been a month full of Mondays.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, who knows what's going to happen next week?
Yeah.
So
Well, what's on the agenda? You said you got it?
Well, yeah, we've got an agenda, but again, who knows what's going to happen? Only because we may be in Tuesday, we may not be in on Tuesday.
Because of the snow.
Because of the snow,
Right.
Yeah. So, Senate Bill 34, relating to a tenant's right to early lease termination. I think
there's
I think that's the one that if they're buying a house,
yes,
they
if they're
can
buying a house,
do
they
an
can
early
get out of
exit.
their lease.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Senate Bill 185, an act to amend Title 4 of the Delaware Code relating to alcoholic liquors sold for off-premise consumption, would allow valid on-premise license holder to sell one bottle of a private label spirit purchased from a Delaware licensed importer that is either limited availability or limited allocation. Okay. So I guess that means if there's a restaurant... There's a restaurant that has a specific like bottle of wine or something that's not, that's pretty rare, that somebody can buy it from the restaurant. So buy it from an on-premise for off-premise consumption.
You can't do that already? I thought you could buy like a bottle of wine.
You can take the remainder home, but you just can't go. I want this bottle of wine and grab it. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. So I guess that's just from a quick read of the synopsis. I haven't looked at it yet. Really,
for some reason that bill's not ringing a bell. I'm not familiar
it
with
was,
that bill.
At the end of June, it was out of committee. It went out of committee. So there's only Senator Lockman and Representative Williams are the only two that are on the bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't seem to be anything too crazy.
No. But we're not done with January yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Budget preview. Well, sorry, budget presentation next Thursday.
Yes. Budget presentation will be Thursday. Leaders is getting a budget preview Wednesday.
Yes, we're getting one next week.
Yeah.
Yep. Leaders get it a little bit early, then the actual budget presentation. Then following that, House and Senate Republican leaders or members, House and Senate Republicans will be holding a press conference.
Yeah.
Right.
And, just a little preview from the state of the state with the smaller growth, which is good. Hopefully that means they're not going to come with a revenue package.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they don't want to do a revenue package in an election year.
Yeah.
So they're going to curtail spending or budget growth.
Because there's been a lot of talk about a possible gas tax increase, but
that only applies to the Transportation Trust Fund. So all gas taxes go to TTF. So that would only fund that.
Right. Right. But we'd be paying it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd be paying.
But I've not. Yeah. But I've not heard any more about it. So again, that might wait until after an election year. Even though, do we vote on that? We don't vote on a gas tax increase, or do we?
Yes, we do.
We do. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it is codified. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing we don't vote on are toll increases.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that we might not see that this year since it's an election year. Unfortunately, that's the way it works.
Yep.
But hey, if it keeps higher prices at bay, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right. Matt?
I got nothing else.
Yeah, I've got nothing either. So,
Peyton, I don't know if she has anything else.
I think that Peyton's telling us she's ready to go.
She's ready to go.
Time to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All
right.
Yeah.
For the Record is recorded and produced by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus. You can find us with the DE Senate GOP handle on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. Discover more about our caucus on our website, senategop.delaware.gov.